Ann Fundner, you are living parents' worst nightmare, the death of a child, and yet you are talking about it and reliving that pain over and over again to try to prevent other parents from experiencing what you've had to go through. Tell us about what happened to your precious 15-year-old son, Weston.
Well, he was a really good kid. He was a sweet kid. He played sports. We went to church. We went to church on Wednesday nights and Sundays. He did Hume Lake Camp in the summer. It was his favorite camp. It was a Christian camp. Christian schooled, and we did everything right that we could. We got him tutors and braces, and made sure that he had everything that he needed to be successful. We were a loving family. We ate dinner together. I was room mom. I was so involved in their lives, and we had a really nice life in Southern California. We were living the California dream. And when he was a freshman in high school, we sent him to another school. He decided he wanted to do public, so second semester of freshman year, he went to public school. Weren't thrilled with some of the people he was becoming friends with, but he was always drawn to the crowd that had, all the friends and all the fun. And in a situation where I feel like he was just being peer pressured, maybe over time, but at a certain point, he gave in to peer pressure, and someone gave him something that he took. He went to bed, and he never woke up.
And it turned out to be what is commonly referred to as a counterfeit pill, meaning there was fentanyl in it, right?
There was no prescription Percocet whatsoever, something his doctor had spoken to him about, but we decided not to because I didn't believe in pain medicine for kids. And so he probably thought he could do something safe, score some points, social points. I'll never really know what he was thinking. We had so many conversations about never doing anything like that. I mean, a lot of conversations. People would say, well, she should have talked to her kids about drugs, or she should have been more present. I was all those things, and I did all those things. He was given something he was told was a Percocet, and it was blue press powder laced with deadly fentanyl, and it took his life. These are fake pills. They look identical. You can't tell the difference side by side. And that would be like you going and ordering a glass of wine or a drink at a restaurant and them serving you grape juice with cyanide. There really is no difference between what happened to him. So it was an absolute poisoning, and it was treated as a homicide because of that. These kids are being deceived to death. They're not getting what they're asked for or not asked for, but they're not getting what they think that they're taking. And when you're deceived like that, that is murder, and it is a deception that should never happen. So my son's case was a homicide investigation because of that.
So how are these dealers getting to kids? We think, those of us who, are from a different generation, think that drug dealers hang out on street corners in the bad part of town, but that's not true, right?
No, maybe back in the day, that's how things were done. But, this is a multi-billion-dollar industry, if not trillion. And these people are wearing business suits, and they have operations in factories and warehouses. And they have a whole fleet of people who are complete groomers. They speak your kids' language. They know that if they get them to try something illegal and they survive the first pill, they have a customer, because it's 50 times more addictive than crack, which, if you remember, crack is whack in the 80s and 90s. Try it one time, you couldn't stop. So this is 50 times more addictive than that, which is why you see so many people doing the Gumby bend over on the streets. They can't get off of it. They're really stuck, and it's really just such a tragedy. And, I have full, just care and feelings for all of those people who need prayer deeply, and probably a lot of major intervention. But these are groomers. They get your kids to do something, and once they have tried it, they know that in 3 hours, 2 to 3 hours, they're going to need another one, because the withdrawal symptoms are incredibly painful. headaches like an anvil sitting on your head, body shakes, fevers, muscle pains, abdominal pains, bowel issues, intestinal issues. I mean, really anything that you could possibly go through that is, equivalent to hell. Your child is going to be going through suffering in silence because they can't tell their parents because they've done something wrong. And that dealer knows that. So they're going to come alongside, just like a sexual predator who gets a kid to do something illegal so they can't tell their parents. And now they've got them. Try a little bit more just to ease that, take that edge off. You'll feel better in a little bit. And instead of easing them off of it, they're easing them into it. And they don't care that your child's going to die because they have, however many dozen others that they're doing the same thing to, and you're introducing your friends to these people. So the casualties don't matter to them. These are disgusting people, the most evil of evil. They don't have God in their heart. They are incredibly deceptive and, the bottom of the barrel of society, in my opinion. They're murderers, and they know they're murderers. For $7.50, they're going to ease your kid's pain until they're dead. It's about a 94 to 96% death rate. After trying it only one time, the recovery rate is extremely low.
So parents are wondering, what can I do? It looks like you did so much to try to prevent this from happening. Talk to the parents about the conversations that they can have with their kids tonight.
So I underestimated peer pressure, and that's what it comes down to, because he was so educated on drugs. It's really important to talk to them and scare them, tell them that fentanyl will kill them, because it will, and that once they try it, it's done. I mean, you can't get off of it unless you really are that brave enough to go talk to your parents. So talk to your kids about peer pressure. What I always tell people is to run scenarios. Say, hey, what are you going to do if somebody comes up to you? Because this is going to happen. They're going to get offered something. Every single one of us went through it. You're going to get offered something. You got to have the power to say no. Not every kid is that strong. I underestimated my son because he was socially, he was great, but he wanted to fit in, and I underestimated the power of peer pressure. So run scenarios. Give them the tools to come back and say, not my thing, or my mom's picking me up in a little bit, or, I have to do something with my parents. Whatever the excuses that you come up with, if you have run those scenarios in advance, they will have the tools and the power to say no and not feel cornered. And that's really important because, like I said, they speak your language. And some of these drug groomers are as young as 15, 16, 17 years old. So you really have to be prepared for that pressure. And so speak to your kids about it. That's what I tell all parents.
And talk about some of the advice you have regarding non-negotiable rules about pills, parties, and sharing medication.
Absolutely. If you didn't get it from your pharmacist, your doctor, or your parent, do not take it. That is the rule. And there's no discrepancy, and your kids need to know that. I don't care if they said they got it from a pharmacy. I don't care if they took it from their mom's cabinet. We see kids who get things from their parents who they didn't realize were getting street drugs and may have been addicted to something themselves, but they might be opioid dependent. So you never know where it's coming from. Don't ever trust a pill that a kid gives you. I tell kids, don't even take Advil or ibuprofen or anything from your friends, because really you don't know where anything is coming from or what the bottle that's been in before that. There were kids at a school who one child brought in gummy bears. He found a Ziploc baggie. That's another thing you don't want to do, use baggies. He found a Ziploc baggie in his house. His parents were users. He didn't know that. He brought in gummy bears and shared them with a bunch of kids. And I think 6 or 7 kids were rushed to the hospital for fentanyl poisoning.
Right.
They all survived, thank God. But if it's even been in contact with something, it's, you're at risk. It's such a small amount. 2 salt grains is all it takes to kill someone. And my son actually had lower than the lethal dose in his bloodstream. But, any amount of fentanyl is deadly.
Just lastly, talk about these social media apps where these drug dealers advertise, so to speak. And what should parents do regarding sort of monitoring or surveilling their child's social media use?
Well, I mean, you should always do that. But um, if you have a child on Snapchat, I would say, really think twice about that one. That one is probably the worst offender. Um, we've really been trying to get Snapchat specifically, as well as Instagram, but Snapchat, who is, just does the bare minimum that they have to. These drug dealers, if your child has something on their page that might, represent some sort of pill, or they might be questioning something, or use the language in jest, or whatever the reason is, the algorithm actually drives these drug dealers to your child. So Snapchat is one that I tell parents to be very wary of. There are other apps like Telegram and Signal that could be used, again, for really good purposes for most people, but they can use them because they're disappearing conversations, as well as Meta has really been trying so hard to tone down these conversations. As a matter of fact, I actually get my social media page actually gets locked sometimes because I'm talking about fentanyl. So that's a good thing. But the algorithms still, there's other language that people use. So just complete monitoring constantly. They haven't perfected it. We actually had a roundtable at the White House yesterday with social media representatives who are very willing to tackle this. And so until the algorithms are perfected, which they're not right now, and they're changing all the time, and these drug dealers learn like I said, multi-billion-dollar operation, they learn the new algorithms, and they're one step ahead of everybody else. So you just got to monitor, complete monitoring. There is no privacy until you're 18, and if you're still living in the house, in my opinion, after 18, you still don't have privacy. Right. So I just think monitoring is really important.
Well, Ann, thank you so much for your time, for your courage coming forward. We appreciate you, and we extend sympathy for your loss, and we do appreciate what you're doing to try to prevent other parents from experiencing the same thing. God bless you.
God bless you. Thank you.